So I had the opportunity to sit down with one of the magic makers, and it really is magic, who is responsible for creating so much of what we see, the special effects, so much of the flying forward Anglia scenes. This is special effects supervisor John Richardson. So let's see what he had to say. John Richardson, thank you so much for joining us on Harry Potter, the official film podcast. It's so lovely to have you with us.
Thank you. Nice to be with you.
We are talking about Chamber of Secrets. So when I mention the name of that movie, what is the first thing that pops into your head?
Well, it's always been my favourite of all the Potter films.
Great.
Partially because it was with Chris Columbus, who was always great fun to work with. He had a good sense of fun. I don't think Chris ever really got the credit he deserved for setting the whole Harry Potter scene. When we got on to Chamber of Secrets, it gave us the opportunity to do a lot of things that were, from our point of view, great fun to do. We had the Anglia car throughout the film, and I don't think people realised that we had 16 Anglia cars all under the special effects control. To do the whole film, we had one of them on a pole arm that could actually appear to fly. So we had it on the set outside the back of the Dursley house. And I had what we called a Waldo, which is a little copy of the real thing. And I had a little Anglia car on it and a model of the side of the set.
So how did that Waldo system translate whatever you were doing with your hands to these amazing action sequences on screen?
So whatever I did with the model car, the real one would do it in real time.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so complicated.
We had the actors in the car, and I was able to fly the car up to the back of the house, turn it round, reverse up to the window, open the boot remotely, throw the cases in, get the kids in, and then fly off across the stage, or appear to. So, I mean, that was one Anglia. We had another one on a rig that would allow it to turn upside down. We had another one on a rig for the Whomping Willow. We built the limbs of the Whomping Willow to actually beat on the car, and we had soft aluminium panels made for the car. So with the real actors inside the car, not doubles, we were able to pound the car and make it bend and break the windows. And then we had 3 cars for doing the stunts and driving through the spider's lair. We put racing car engines in them so they could be driven. We had another one that could be driven with a hidden driver hidden on the floor inside, looking through a television monitor. Just the Anglia cars on that were a film on its own.
Obviously, I imagine having practical effects is something that actors prefer dealing with as well. So how does that create like a more organic reaction in the Chamber of Secrets? Have you got any examples?
You know, we also had the Chamber of Secrets door with the snakes. A lot of people think that the door in the film was CGI. It wasn't, it was real. You know, that whole sequence Chris was able to film it with the actors in front of the door. You got the reaction of the actors because they were obviously still very young at the time. So everybody had got something to act to rather than a green tennis ball on the end of a stick. The list in that second film was really endless of the amount of work we did. But I say for us, it was great fun doing it.
Pretty much everyone that I've spoken to has mentioned you and also mentioned your love of explosions. So tell us about how much you love blowing things up and what sort of techniques you managed to use on Potter.
On the first few films, we were, of course, dealing with 10-year-old actors. I was very concerned about using actual explosives in their presence. We didn't want to sort of frighten them or worry them, particularly the chess game, if you remember that,
Yes.
where all the pieces are destroyed. Instead of using explosive, we used very high pressure compressed air. So we would bury air mortars into things, electric flash bulbs. So we'd get the flash and the explosion, and dust and cork for the debris to make sure the children were safe. Um, and, once they'd seen it happen once or twice, they were very comfortable with it. People often ask me what was my favourite effect on all the Potter films. It was blowing the place up at the end, because then we could really take it out on Hogwarts and do a lot of real explosions, which was great fun.
I can imagine. So when you are thinking about the kind of practicalities of the magic in Harry Potter, in Quidditch, for example, which is one of my favourite parts of the wizarding world, what were the challenges when it came to, making the actors fly, making the brooms look realistic, etc.?
It was, funny enough, it was one of the first conversations I had with Chris Columbus. I discussed different ways of doing it. On Superman, we used a pole arm technique through a blue backing quite a lot. And I thought that would be certainly a good way to start. We didn't want to start hanging people on wires, because then you've got the person hanging, holding the broom, and really the person on the broom should look like they're riding a bike. And one of the first things we did was we rigged up a mock-up broomstick in our workshop, mount bicycle saddles onto the broomstick, put the broomstick on the end of a pole arm, and then we built hydraulic rigs so that we could fly him up and down. And I have to say, I took my hat off to Dan and all the young actors on those first films, because I don't know if you've ever sat motionless on a bicycle saddle for 2 hours, but it does get a bit uncomfortable. So Quidditch flying was one of the major tasks throughout the whole of the Harry Potter series. One of the funny things or people usually find it amusing, was that, as I say, we started flying them with bicycle saddles. By the time we got to probably Harry Potter 5, 6, they became so big and heavy that we made a special rig that we could sit every actor who had to fly on a broom. We'd sit him in this rig onto a plastic bag full of expanding foam. So we got, and they were in exactly the right broomstick flying position. So we got a mould of every actor's bottom, and at one point we had them all hanging up on the wall in our workshop. But from that, we were able to model little Kevlar seats that were tailored perfectly to them.
How do you think that the Harry Potter series changed the game when it came to special effects? Because everybody that we've talked to has mentioned just how unique and how special a series it was to work on.
I'd, funnily enough, first read the book. I picked it up and started to glance through it, and ended up I couldn't put it down. And I said to my wife at the time, gosh, if they ever make a film of this, I hope I can get to do it. Here I am 25 years later and still building broomsticks.
John Richardson, thank you so much for talking to us.
Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.